Students aren't using AI because the schools have introduced it to them. They're using it because it's on their phone and it's pretty much everywhere. It's free, it's fast, and it does the things that they are often exhausted by. The busy work, the formatting, the assignments they've been asked to complete, but they can't really find a reason to care about. When students use AI to skip something, while we call it laziness, it often always isn't that. What we should see it as is a signal. It's telling us that something about what we're asking for isn't really connecting to their lives, it's not really maybe connecting to their goals, and it doesn't really feel valuable to them. And even if we believe it is, we haven't done a good job in communicating why. And instead of listening to that signal, what we see is people writing policies, giving kids traffic lights, running AI detectors, while calling them cheaters. Instead, we've never really stopped to ask a really hard question. Did we design learning experiences that were worth doing in the first place? And did we actually teach them how to use AI well before blaming them for how they're using it? Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sabba Quidwai, and I work with schools and organizations to redesign how learning works in the age of AI. And before we build anything today, because that's what we're going to be doing, there are 3 mindset shifts that you're going to have in this video that I want to share with you right before we start. The first one, AI is not a tool, it's a teammate. It doesn't just respond, it thinks with you, it partners with you, and it gets better over time. Number 2, AI is not a shortcut, it is a skill set. The people who benefit most from AI are not the ones who are skipping the thinking and the hard parts. They're the ones who are designing new workflows and learning how to work alongside it. And last but not least, AI can't be about rules. It has to be about values that we co-create together. Because the question isn't if students are going to use AI. The question is, are we going to teach them how to use it in ways that allow them to make wise decisions? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that can look like with a real class scenario. We're going to be doing a workflow using Gemini and NotebookLM that helps students understand both how they learn and how to build a system that supports the way they learn. If you're a student, you are going to want to watch this video and adopt the system. If you're an educator or a parent, this is the system you need to show your students so that they start using AI the right way. By the end, you're not just going to have a tool, you're going to have an AI team who help you think differently about how you learn and support you with your goals. So let's get started. All right, so first, what we want to do is we want to create the foundation for your study system. We're going to do this for using one class, and we're going to do it together, starting with a tool called NotebookLM. Now, to do this, we're going to go ahead and open up NotebookLM, and on the left-hand side, we're going to create a new notebook. You're going to want to name it something clear, maybe your class name, your professor, maybe the semester or the year, something that you'll recognize and something that you can also adopt and use every single time. You don't want to be like naming a different notebook, a different thing every single time, nor do you want to be using one notebook for everything. We want to separate things out by classes that you're taking. Now, right away, it's going to prompt you to upload your sources, your syllabus, your lecture slides, your readings, maybe notes that you have, even YouTube videos or websites that you found helpful. Everything about what you want to learn for this class is going to be inside this notebook. Now, I want you to think about how much time you've spent studying before. Maybe your syllabus is in one tab, your slides are in another, your notes are in some Google Doc somewhere, your readings are in another folder, maybe you got some paper handouts over here that you haven't even opened for the last week or two. And then there's these YouTube videos that you've randomly been watching, but you can't find the link for, nor can you remember what you enjoyed about the video. NotebookLM is where we can bring everything together. Now, here's what makes NotebookLM different from, say, a folder on your desktop or your Google Drive, and why it's asking you for sources right away. NotebookLM is not taking information from the internet. For example, when you open up ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, you don't need to give it sources. You can just start answering questions. NotebookLM is different. It's answering your questions only based on the sources you include. So there's no sources, there's nothing for it to answer. Now, alongside that, it's really important to be careful about what you include, because if the information in your notebook is wrong, everything else that it gives you will be wrong too. All right, so now that we've set up your notebook and we've uploaded a couple things in, your sources are all in one place, it's time to get into something that most people miss. Now, if we go ahead and go over to the right-hand side of the toolbar, you'll see that you can generate a lot of items to support you in your studying right inside NotebookLM. You can generate study guides, quizzes, flashcards. You can even build infographics, videos, and podcasts. One of my favorite things is being able to go into NotebookLM and creating what we call an audio. Now, for example, we're actually going to go ahead and go into the audio tab. And once you click in here, you'll notice that NotebookLM can actually create a debate. It can take two sides of an argument from your sources and run that debate for you as a podcast, which is actually a really great way to be able to understand something on a much deeper level. You can even ask it to critique an idea based on your reading. Ultimately, one of the things that you'll learn over time are formats that work best for you. Now, the one thing though, when people are generating these assets that they miss is the little pencil icon next to the generate button. I want you to click it before you generate anything, because this is where you're going to be able to customize what you create before it's created. People who don't do this and skip this step are often blamed for creating what we call AI slop. And this is honestly a part that most people skip. They get a generic summary, and they get generic podcasts, and then they're like, oh, it's really not that great. But the key is really how you customize it and how you make it yours. So let's go ahead and type something like this. I'm a pre-med student who loves true crime podcasts. Explain key concepts from my biology notes the way you'd explain a medical mystery. Make it engaging, use real-world examples, and focus what I need to know for a clinical exam. You're going to get a completely different kind of podcast episode versus the person who just hits audio and generate. Or maybe you're someone who's into sports. Break down the key themes from my history notes the way a sports commentator would analyze a game. What were the turning points? Who were the key players? And what was the strategy? The more specific you are about who you are and how you like to learn, the more useful the output will be. Now, one of the things to take note of when you're using NotebookLM is you'll notice on the left-hand side, you can check and uncheck sources. Make sure you're checking the sources that you want to be part of the materials you are generating. And that's like that, your podcast is ready to listen to. Your commute becomes a review session, you walk across campus, and as you are walking, it is your study time. Now, one of the things that makes it even more cool is that if you actually tap interact, you can actually pause to ask the host questions, and the audio file will actually adapt to your questions in real time, answering you based on the sources that you have included inside of your notebook. So there you go, you just set up your first notebook. Now, as amazing as that is, Google just made this a whole lot better. NotebookLM has now officially moved inside Gemini, which means your notebook and your AI workspace are becoming one thing. No more switching tabs, no more going to different apps. Everything is all in one place. So let's look at how we can use that to our advantage. Because if the system is getting smarter, how can we make sure that it's actually working for us? We can now directly inside of Gemini ask questions about our material inside of that notebook. Now, last year, OpenAI did a study and looked at the top questions that students used when studying with AI. We'll link them for you in the show notes, but I'm going to share a couple of them with you here. One of them was, I want to learn by teaching. Ask me questions about this topic so I can practice explaining the core concepts to you. We know that when you can teach a topic to somebody else, that you have definitely learned it yourself. Another common question students asked was, I want to learn about this topic. Identify and share the most important 20% of learnings from the topic that will help me understand 80% of it. And if you're not familiar with this is actually a really strong strategy known as the Pareto principle. Last, another question they asked was, look for any rules and requirements in this assignment and make a checklist that is easy for me to understand so that you can make sure you have done all the things you need to do for that assignment or for that project. Now, when you ask these questions, one of the things you're going to want to make sure is that thinking mode is turned on, which brings us to, how do we best use the chat? Now, every time you open up a new AI chat, the AI doesn't always know you and what your goals are. It doesn't know if you're a visual learner who needs the example before the definition. It doesn't know if you work best in short, focused bursts. It doesn't know what kind of feedback you can actually hear versus what makes you feel overwhelmed. So a lot of times it will just give you generic responses. And generic responses don't really help us get deeper with what our goals are and what we're trying to achieve. Again, you'll hear so many people say, AI is awful or AI is amazing. And what makes a difference is how well they train their tools. I want you to think about the teachers who made the biggest difference in your life. It wasn't just what they knew, it was that they knew you. They knew how to explain things to you in a way that made sense to you. They knew when to push back on certain ideas and when to give you more room to think and go deeper and have some more time. You can actually integrate this into every AI interaction you have by teaching AI a little bit about who you are and how you like to learn. So here's how we're going to do this. And we're only going to do this once. You're going to save it and use it again and again. You're going to open up Gemini, and in the prompt box, I want you to put this. I want you to interview me so you can create an About Me learning profile. Ask me one question at a time about how I learn best, what I find challenging, what motivates me, and how I like to receive feedback. After we finish, write this up as a short profile that I can save and reuse. Now, what's gonna happen is instead of you having to write all of it, Gemini's gonna interview you one by one. This is a great time to not type your answer, but go for a walk and just dictate it away. It's going to write up your learning profile in your words specific to you. And this is something that you can come back to and keep adding to as well. Once the interview is over, I want you to tap Tools and tap Canvas. This basically allows Gemini to create a doc for you directly in the workspace. When it's done, you can go ahead and save and export this as a Google Doc, save it into your drive, and then you can download it as a PDF or a markdown file or anything you want and add this to any chat that you want. Every single time you begin, when you upload or add that file in, Gemini will know exactly who you are and how you like to learn, so it can respond to you accordingly. Now, if you're an educator, I want you to imagine if every single student started your class with creating an About Me file like this. Here's how I learn, here's what I struggle with, here's what helps. Doing this also helps us become more self-aware about the answers to those questions, because you may be listening to these questions and thinking, well, I have no idea. We've been trying to figure out how to differentiate instruction for decades. Now, students can actually do this independently and alongside you. All right, so we created a notebook, you've got your About Me file. Now let's start to bring these pieces together. We're going to go ahead and build what is called a gem, also in this workspace. And I thought it would be fun to build something around time management because it's something that we often hear is very hard for young people. Not because they don't care or they're too busy, but because nobody actually teaches them how to take all the things we've put on them and organize their time. You're handed a syllabus, a semester, a calendar, so many other expectations, and then told basically figure it out. And oftentimes, everything can feel urgent. Nothing has a clear order, every assignment feels like it matters the most, and oftentimes that is easily how we become very overwhelmed. So before we actually build anything, we're going to actually do some research. This is another feature inside the same workspace, and it's the part that most people skip. Now, most people, when they set up a gem or a GPT or they try to train an AI, they just train it on what they already do. That is not the way to do it. The goal is to train your AI teammate to perform at the level you wish you could perform at, not just where you are right now. If I was gonna build a team, I would want the best players around me, not for everybody to be the same. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up a new chat in Gemini. We're gonna run what we call a deep research report. You can find this under Tools. I call this giving your AI team an edge over everyone else. So here's what you're gonna type. Run a deep research report for me on how the top 1% of students and high performers actually manage their time and their projects. What does the research say? Not the popular advice. I want actual evidence, and I don't want you to include Reddit or any Reddit-like sources. We always include that line because the #1 place where these tools get their information, Reddit, and we don't need people's opinions in the mix. Now, I want you to see what happens here. Once we do this, Gemini is gonna say, do you approve the plan? If you do, go ahead and hit approve, and then it's gonna start searching across multiple sources, synthesizing all the findings and generating a beautiful report right ready for you. All of this is going to have information about what high performers actually do when it comes to time management and productivity. Now, when it's done, it is really important for you to do the most important human part, and that is review it. Because if there's information in it that's wrong or that you don't like, it's going to corrupt all the other questions that you ask. If everything looks good, save that report, and it will again save to your Google Drive, where you can save it as a PDF or a markdown file or anything else. All right, now next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the left-hand side panel, and we're going to go to the Gem Manager inside of Gemini, and we're going to create a new gem. I want you to name it something that you'll recognize and be able to come back to. My time manager, my project manager, whatever you want to call it, or maybe even give it a name. Then there are a couple areas we're going to fill out, starting with the instructions. Now, I've included all of this in a guide for you, so if you want to just copy and paste it, go to the show notes and download the guide. All right, now in the instructions, we're going to say, you are my productivity and time management coach. I want you to read my About Me file to understand how I learn and what I find challenging. Then I want you to read the research file to understand what the evidence says about how high performers manage their time. Use both to help me break down assignments into manageable steps, build realistic schedules, and stay focused on what matters most, not just what feels urgent. Next, we're going to go to the knowledge section. This is where you can upload files, and the best way to think about the knowledge section is basically this is the brain of your AI teammate. We're going to add 2 files into here. Number 1, the About Me learning profile that you just built, and the deep research report that you just built. And if there's anything else you want to add in, you can do that as well. Like I said, this is basically what we call the brain for your gem. All right, and just like that, we're done. Now you're gonna wanna go ahead and save it. You'll also notice you can share these as well with your friends. You can actually go ahead and open up the gem, and now we're going to try this. I want you to type in your assignments for the week or paste them directly from your syllabus. Ask it to build you a study schedule. And it gets even better. If you type the @ sign, you can actually see how it connects to everything else inside your Google Workspace. You can pull in your Google Calendar directly and ask your gem to look at your existing schedule and build a plan around what you actually have. You can tell it when you want breaks, what days you don't want it to do anything on, and you want to just leave them open. It can suggest when to study, flag where you're overloaded, and basically even help you move things around so you feel more in control of your time. You now basically have a time management coach that knows who you are, knows what the research says about high performance and time management, and can actually look at all the different things it is that you need to get accomplished. This is what it looks like when we start to build a system instead of blaming students for not having one, because I am sure at some point in this video, you felt overwhelmed. Oh my God, this is a lot. And that's because using AI is not simply as going in and being like, do this for me and do that for me. Start by creating a notebook. Start by creating questions that matter, and start by thinking about a system that works for how you like to learn. If you're an educator or a parent, I want you to share this with your students, because the answer to AI misuse has never been AI detection or pen and paper. It has always been about education and helping people use the resources they have available. And it's these organization and workflow redesign skills that will also make for great interview stories when people ask you, hey, tell me a story about how you use AI. Because nobody wants somebody who uses AI to create slop or cheat, but everyone wants people who can think through how we can do things better together. So if you're ready to stop the grind and start designing a system that will actually work for you, hit subscribe, because I'm sharing new workflows every single week to help you move from being overwhelmed by AI to feeling empowered by it.